In this second video on the series of laws of indices, we're going to be looking at indices which are in brackets and also what happens when we raise a number to the power 0. Let's start with brackets. So for example, 3 squared cubed. And if you think about what this means, the squared means that you have 3 times 3. And then the cubed means that you do that 3 times. So we have 3 times 3, once, twice, 3 times. And if we count how many 3's we have, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can write that as 3 to the power 6. And what you'll notice is 2 and 3 going to 6, well, 2 times 3 is 6. So when I have brackets, all I do is I multiply the powers. The rule is a to the power b to the power c is a to the power b times c. When you have brackets, you multiply the powers. Let's do another example. 4 cubed to the power 7 would be 4 to the power 21. Now let's look at what happens when we combine this rule with multiplying and dividing. And if you haven't done so already, go back and check the first video on Laws of Indices series that I made recently. Let's have 3 cubed to the power 4 times 3 squared to the power 3 and divide that by 3 to the power 4 all to the power 2. Now let's start with just the brackets. When we have brackets, we multiply the powers. So my first one, I just do 3 times 4. I get 3 to the power 12. The next one, I do 2 times 3, and that would give me 3 to the power 6. And on the denominator, I do 4 times 2, and that will give me 3 to the power 8. Now at this point, you've got to make sure that the bases are the same. Remember in the first video, I was saying that if the bases aren't the same, you can't then carry on with the manipulation. In this case, they are the same. So all I need to do is I can add the powers together in the numerator. And then when we're dividing, we subtract the powers. 18 take away 8 is 10. So my answer is 3 to the power 10. Let's have a go at another example. This time would be slightly more challenging because we have some negatives in there. 5 cubed to the minus 1 times 5 squared to the minus 2 divided by 5 cubed to the minus 3 times 5 to the power 3 all to the minus 2. So let's start in the first bracket in the numerator. We'll multiply the powers together. 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. And the second one gives me minus 4. And in the denominator, 3 times minus 3 is minus 9. And 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. So now we can look at just the multiplying in the numerator and the denominator separately. Minus 3 plus minus 4 is minus 7. You have to be really careful with these minus signs now. And we'll have minus 9 plus minus 6 is minus 15. Now finally we're going to do this division. So we're going to do 5 to the minus 7 take away minus 15. Don't forget when you're dividing you subtract the powers. We just have to be really careful with these minus signs. This is 5 to the minus 7 plus 15 because 2 negatives make a positive. And therefore the answer is 5 to the power 8. Let's now have a look at the fourth rule. And the fourth rule is when we are raising a number to the power 0. 5 to the power 0, 7 to the power 0, 104 to the power 0. Now, any of these equal 1. So the rule is that a to the power 0 equals 1. And for proof, let's just have a look at 5 to the power 4 divided by 5 to the power 4. You can do any number, really. But when you divide something by itself, that gives you 1. Because 5 to the power 4 divided by 5 to the power 4 would be 1 because they're the same number. thinking about your division laws, if you raise something to a power and then divide it by something to the power, you can subtract the powers as long as the base is the same. So this would be equal to 5 to the power 4 minus 4, right? I can just subtract the two powers together. 5 to the power 4 minus 4 is the same as 5 to the power 0, because 4 take away 4 is 0. And therefore we found that 5 to the power 0 is 1. And the same logic applies for any number at all. Anything to the power 0 is 1. Therefore, anytime you see a power 0, it will be 1, even if we had something that looked like this. 3 squared, cubed, 4 to the power 5 to the power 0 to the power 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brackets. I need 5 brackets there as well. And that is because when you multiply all of the powers together, you would just be left with 3 to the power 0 anyway. You can just immediately say that this is 1 because anything times by 0 is 0. Therefore, the power is 0, and it means that the answer would be 1. So there we have it. That's how you deal with indices that have brackets. You multiply the powers. And also how you raise a number to the power 0. It's 1.